Hello, KOZ family. This is your KOZ Raw for this week, and I'm out at the KOZ Mobley Ranch. Hope one day we get you out here to hunt some hogs with us or hang out with some of your boys. I had this conversation with somebody this week, and it was really thought-provoking, and it really made me think about what is the core thing we just have to do if we're doing KOZ. And if you've heard my story before or read the book Year 13, you know that when I was a street kid, there was a period of time where I was invited into somebody's house because they had an empty bedroom. And it was a terrible decision on the parents' part, but they felt sorry for me, and so they let me stay there. I was a terrible influence on their son, but they would feed me, and I got my clothes washed, and I was a street kid, so it was a home run, right? And then the only rule that they had for us was that I had to go to church with them on Sunday, and for me that was a simple rule to follow because I'd been a Catholic as a little guy, so you go for an hour and you're done, and no digging on the Catholics. It's the only thing I knew about church. But I went with these people, and I went in there, and it was different. It was different, man. They talked about Jesus. It seemed like a family. It was like there was joy in the room. The pastor shared stories and did things that talked about things, and just the whole thing, the way it went down, was just different than what I'd thought or what I'd been told or what I'd heard or what I imagined, and probably much like what our boys experience today. But that's not the part that I wanted to share with you. The part that I was thinking about, that God kind of prompted me on this week, was that there was a guy, his name was Terry Moyer, and he saw me across that room. And he came over and said hi to me. He talked to me. And over the few weeks that I was there, every time we showed up at church, and even in between, he would get in touch with me. We would sit and talk. He shared Jesus with me. And I asked Jesus in my heart and was baptized. Now, I was only there a while, and I went back out and started doing the things that I was doing on the street, the things that were familiar to me. The pull to darkness is really, really strong. But after that, something changed. And it was years down the road before God really opened my eyes to what was important and began this trail of sobriety and into my own church and into volunteerism at my church, and then into ministry, and then into the ministry of KOZ. And I think now, I never got to say thank you to Mr. Moyer. He gave me a Bible while I was there, and I have that Bible. How that Bible survived all my street antics, how that Bible made it into my hands all these years later, 50, 60 years later, 50 years later, 52 years later, I still have that Bible. But what I wanted to share was the number one thing at KOZ that we need to make sure we do is share Jesus with the boys. It was that moment. It was those short, it would be like us having a boy for just one or two Saturdays, maybe one Saturday, and seeing him, hearing him, acknowledging him, and sharing the gospel with him. And, Mr. Moyer, I never got to tell him thank you. I could never find him to tell him thank you. Never found him to tell him, like, Mr. Moyer, what you did for me started a ministry movement that's now gone around the world and that's changing men's lives, boys' lives, families' lives. for generations because he saw me and shared with me. So what we do with the boys in those short moments that we may have them, whether it's one Saturday or 1 year or 10 years, we need to make sure that they know that Jesus is the game changer and that he's not what the world tries to make him out to be. It's not what maybe they thought it was. And we model what a Christian man is. We model that with acceptance and love and thoughtfulness. And less of us, more of them. Less of us, more of them. Paying attention to our boys, acknowledging them. So, as you navigate this thing called KOZ, or send your boys to this thing called KOZ, know that the mission is share Jesus Christ with them. And then if you go shoot some guns, catch some fish, hike a mountain, do some cool stuff, man, that's what Jesus just gives us this opportunity to do with the boys. So want to remind you too, there's some HTLs, all you leaders, we do the monthly HTL call. We're not doing it in January, but we'll start back again in February. There's some new swag in the store. Make sure you swag out your boys. The password changes on the 31st. So make sure you get your dues in and if you have problems with the dues, if your church can't afford it, if you're having problems with the money part of it, call Rick, call me, call the office, and we're going to take care of that. We're going to work with you on that and make sure that doesn't keep you from snagging those boys, sharing the gospel with them of Jesus Christ, and then shooting some guns or doing some fishing. Come on. All right, that's it for this month or this week. God bless you. KOZ Raw. Like, subscribe, share this with your friends and your other HTLs. Regulators, mount up.